Hello, namaste, S.S.Chandhok, good afternoon. Welcome to the S.S.Chandhok talk show. I'm your host and moderator, S.S.Chandhok. I am super excited today because I have a very, very special guest today in Squad Galaxy episode. That is Dr. Swati Popat. Although she doesn't need any introduction, what you say is like, naam to suna hi hoga. It's something like with her when if you're in education industry, if you do not know her name, so you're not from that particular industry. So Swati Popat, ma'am, that is the name is, what you say that naam hi kafi hai. Ma'am is a director. I will not give introduction because chota muh badi baat wali thing happened. Ma'am is a director of Podar Education Network and Early Childhood Association. Ma'am, first of all, thank you so much for joining us on the show. We are very, we are very pleased to have you here. Ma'am, we know about your whatever work you are doing, but something about your journey, ma'am. I mean, how did it came into your mind to come into education, and the way you have taken over the early childhood education, which is the most important and the base of the education, which people don't cater into. People go into the higher education. I mean, the classes 9 to 12. But basically, whatever you have taken from the root, hats off to you, ma'am. Please tell us about something. How you came into this. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Namaskar, Sat Sri Akal. And thank you, Chandhok ji. आप जो काम कर रहे हैं, absolutely amazing है, क्योंकि काफी लोगों को आपके shows से इतना ज्ञान मिलता है. That please keep doing the wonderful work that you are doing. I started my journey in education 35 years back, and I've always wanted to be an early childhood teacher. So in spite of doing my MA, my B.Ed, my PhD, I never thought of moving away from early years. मुझे early years से आगे जाना promotion नहीं लगा था, क्योंकि early years को अगर हम strong बनाएंगे इस country में, तो बाकी सब जो stages है वो आसान हो जाएंगे. And that is exactly what the NEP now states, that 85% of the cumulative brain development happens in the early years. And I'm glad that I was able to give whatever little I could to early years, and I will keep on giving that.
That's wonderful, ma'am. And this is the concept which NEP has brought 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. Why? Because that 5 is very important. And because we are living in the cities, but when you go into the remote areas or urban areas, we see that people, they straight away take admission in grade 1. So they miss the primary education. That is because when we are talking about something, or we are talking about here about something, we are talking about the whole India. And we know India is an agriculture country, and most of the schools, when we came up with NEP, so if we categorize the schools in A, B and C, the A category schools said that almost all the things which are in NEP, we are doing it before only. But what about the B and C category, which are the most important part, which are the most, percentages more?
Absolutely.
So there the people have to understand, and thank you so much for coming up today, because this NCF National Curriculum Framework should reach each and every school, and I will request all the principals who are connected to me and all over to send this to their teachers also, because this has to be seen by the teachers, because teachers are directly teaching and dealing with the students. This should reach to them. Thank you so much, and we will start now. And the way you have given the gist of NCF in a so precise way, 300 pages is not possible for plus pages. It's not possible for everyone to read and go through and to understand it. So, ma'am, we will start up with the first question, which is like to ask you on behalf of all the principals and teachers. Ma'am, kindly explain what is the concept or motto behind having NCF.
So, when you have a national education policy, that is a policy which defines the rules, the way ahead, the vision. But then you need a curriculum framework. So this time, for the first time ever since our independence, the government is going to come out with 4 NCFs. The first one is for foundational years, which is the first NCF which came out in October 2022. The second one is going to come out on teacher education. The third one will be on primary education, and fourth one will be on the other levels. So National Curriculum Framework basically tells the schools the guidelines, the way ahead, the ideas in how to implement the policy through their curriculum, through their vision, through their philosophy, and through their lesson planning, toy selection, etc. So in this national curriculum framework, if you will see the cover page, on the left top hand corner, you will see a design. It's called the Mobius design. And this Mobius design has been purposely put there by the government because they want this particular NCF to be a continuous journey. कि ऐसा ना हो कि फाउंडेशनल ईयर्स में जो बच्चों को सिखाते हैं और जैसे सिखाते हैं उसको फिर हम भूल जाएं प्राइमरी में, which is what is happening in today's schools. You know, we have all the play based education in early years, but primary में जाते ही we become very serious कि नहीं अभी तो लिखना चाहिए and sums करने चाहिए etc. So what the government wants is that this should be a continuous journey, an unending journey, to ensure that our curriculum across all levels changes to be more child-centric, more age-centric, and more culture-centric. And that is what is the aim of this NCF. If I have to use one word for it, I would use the word zenacious. Zenacious means filled with a yearning for change. And that's exactly what this NCF stands for. And that's what it wants to instill in all of us.
That is very important, ma'am, because according to the present era, 21st century, we have to change ourselves. Because
Absolutely.
the way we were being taught, the most important thing is the teachers right now, they are teaching in the same way they were taught 20, 30 years
Oh,
back.
yes. Oh, yes.
So that is the most important thing which has to be changed. The children, they have become, what we call that technology resident. They don't want to. They don't want to.
Not only that, sir. Adults have moved from a dial phone to a smartphone. लेकिन हमको education में वो change नहीं लाना है. हमको dial phone से smartphone पे नहीं जाना है. So that is what this NEP stands for. It's taking you now into the present future and the future.
Absolutely right, ma'am. Because you see, the era has changed. There are almost 100% nuclear families now. That mental level of the child also has changed all over the day. We see in the newspaper, so much things are happening with the student. Yesterday, only one thing happened: a student committed suicide because of 10th examination pressure. So many things are happening to make this very interesting and child-centered. What you the NEP is trying to say. This is more important to be implemented. Thank you so much, ma'am. We'll come up to the next thing, ma'am, and we will like to know about how can we teach children to self-assessment, because it always had been teacher-oriented. Till now, the teaching always had been teacher-oriented. The teacher is going and writing on the board, blackboard or softboard, and she's saying, okay, copy this, and this is done. So what is this self-assessment learning?
It is a very, very unique and a very essential concept. अगर आपने देखा होगा pandemic में, we were teaching children online, but how were we were not able to assess them. And that is where the concept of self-assessment comes. Why do we need to be there to check children's work or correct children's work? A teacher is a mentor. A teacher is a guide. A child who knows the formation of a letter M will be able to correct itself when it is writing a wrong M. अगर आपको आज पता है कि A का shape क्या है, तो आप वो गलत लिखेंगे ही नहीं. But if I don't know what the shape of A is, then I will write it incorrectly, and then the teacher will have to correct me. So what has happened in our country is we take corrections and assessment कि ये तो role है teacher का, ये तो होना ही चाहिए. But we don't understand that how can we do away with it by equipping the children with self-empowerment. And that is what this NEP ka sabse badhiya, if I have to point out one of the most important things, is it talks about self-assessment. It says in your worksheets, in your books, put a self-assessment also for the children to understand, are they able to express themselves? Like, for example, you can put smiley face, you can put a okay face, and you can put a frowning face, and let the child say, did you enjoy the activity? So then if the child enjoyed the activity, will tick on the smiling face. It can start with something as simple as that. And on page number 183 of the NCF, the document talks in detail about self-assessment, how self-assessment can be started by junior KG, and can move on right up to primary. Children who are brought up with the concept of self-assessment, for them learning will become intrinsic, not extrinsic. Right now, learning is extrinsic. I need a teacher to tell me if I am right or wrong. So I am so dependent on the teacher or the adult or the parent. That is not learning. True learning becomes intrinsic. I should know from inside what I am doing is wrong. Just like behavior, if you want children to behave well, then you don't need a police officer all the time. I should know that I should not be breaking rules. I should know that what is right and what is wrong. Similarly, in learning and education, what the government now wants is self-assessment. Is the child aware of what the child is learning? And is the child aware of where the child is going wrong? So if we start believing in self-assessment, we will have individuals who will not only have intrinsic knowledge, but also empathy.
That's wonderful. That means if the teacher is doing the correction and making the M right, the child is not seeing when going back home. He is doing the next homework now. But when he will see himself and he understand, okay, I have done this wrong, I should correct this. This is self-assessment, means self-realization that I'm wrong. I have to correct myself. And that builds the confidence also. That's the most important thing. Right. Thank you so much, ma'am. We'll come up to the next question we'd like to ask you, ma'am. Please explain the concept of early identification of delay and disability, because it is connected. We say all the 5 fingers are not equal. The teacher is going inside the class, delivering whatever lecture she wants to tell, but every child is unique and cannot understand the things properly. So, ma'am, what's the concept of this identification of delay and disability?
Special children or special needs children are generally quite ignored in our education system. Not because we don't care for them, but because our teachers are not equipped with the right education about them. And the faster or the earlier we identify children with these needs, the better it would be for these children. You can sometimes even weed out these learning difficulties. So early identification is something that the world works towards. In India, in this NCF, from page numbers 193 to 199, they talk about early identification of delays. And what they have used is a WHO format. WHO ने 10 points दिए हैं for teachers, that every day in your observations of children, these are the 10 points that you should look out for to identify if there are any learning delays in your class. The earlier you identify them, the better you will be able to help these children, and then these children's difficulties will not become lifelong. They can be nipped in the bud. So there are certain points given, like is the child focused during an activity, or compared to other children, is the child showing more difficulty? Because see, Chandhok ji, we have to also understand the age difference in our classrooms is quite large. You will have a child who's born in January and a child who's born in October, both in the same class. So that means there is almost a 10-month difference between children in the same class. So if the teachers are not aware, of the age difference, then they will compare the October child to the January child. The January ka bachcha has already achieved the milestone. October born child will achieve it after 10 months. So that's why these guidelines have been given on these page numbers, that if you look at these guidelines and understand these guidelines and maybe make a poster and put it in your class, then parents will also understand that what I am seeing in my child is maybe an age-related delay and not a developmental-related delay. So this understanding, when it comes in teachers, it would help children, because otherwise teachers tend to label children as slow learners or can't learn or kari nahi pata hai. So this labeling then becomes intrinsic in a child, and the child suffers from lack of self-esteem. So to avoid all these problems, it is very important to train teachers in early identification of delays. And that is beautifully given with this WHO 10 points, which the teachers can easily refer to from page numbers 193 to 199.
Absolutely right, ma'am. And many parents, when their child is very good, they say we want to skip the class. They say
Yes.
instead of getting admission in PG, want to have it in nursery or lower
Yes.
KG, whatever said. So we make them understand that a child mental level will always remain the same. The child is able to do at home, but at school and when come in the further classes, he'll get
Absolutely.
disbalanced. He's get disbalanced because his mental level. What if you are mature? You are much mature, which you were mature 5 years back, and you will be more mature after 5 years. क्या आप अगले 5 साल में जो मेच्योर हो गए आज मेच्योर हो, या जितने 5 साल पुराने पहले मेच्योर थे उतने आज मेच्योर हो, आज ज्यादा मेच्योर हो और आगे जाके और होगा. That is the mental level of the child also. So this is also a big problem. They want to skip the classes. My child knows everything of the syllabus, but it is not only the syllabus. Many things are there during these times.
And a lot of things are age related because maturity, as you very well pointed out, is age related. I may not have the maturity to be with very older children, so it is I may then suffer because you put me in a classroom which is of very older children. I am the youngest in the class. And you would suffer then because of that, So it is very important for parents also, I suggest, to read the NCF.
Of course, ma'am. That is very important, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, next we'd like to ask you that as it is said that every stage of child's achievement should be celebrated. So what is it?
So, in our schools, sir, when we correct children's work or when we give them a report card, we generally tend to write good or excellent or star देते हैं उनको, tick mark देते हैं, or we'll say still learning, etc. Basically, these kind of gradations that we are using, either with grades or marks or with comments, are not giving us an actual idea of where the child is in the stage of learning. Learning is like a ladder. It has a step 1, it has a step 2, it has a step 3, it has a step 4, and then it has the goal. So it is very important for teachers and parents both to be aware that is my child on the learning trajectory. These steps are called trajectory, which means वो नीचे से ही शुरू करेगा और फिर ऊपर जाएगा. So what are these steps? This has been very well defined on page 184. The 4 steps are beginner, progressing, proficient, and advanced. Now, what does beginner stand for? Beginner means when the child is trying to achieve something with adult support, which means ये बच्चा जो भी कर रहा है वो adult support के साथ करने की कोशिश कर रहा है. वो अभी तक कर नहीं पा रहा है, लेकिन कोशिश कर रहा है. That becomes the beginner stage. Then the second stage, which is progressing. It means कि with adult help, this child is able to achieve things, which means अब वो कोशिश नहीं कर रहा है, adult के support के साथ वो achieve कर रहा है. The third stage is called proficient. In this stage, the child does not need adult help, which means बिना adult की help के ये बच्चा जो आपने काम दिया है वो कर सकता है. And the last stage is called advanced. That not only is this child able to do it on his own within the given time frame, but is also going and helping others. So these 4 stages become very important for schools to understand now. कि आप जब आप correct करोगे बच्चों के worksheets या कोई भी काम, तो use these terminologies because these are called the learning trajectory and this will help you understand the child better. क्योंकि हर चीज सीखने के लिए बच्चे को हमेशा पहले adult का support चाहिए ही चाहिए. So you cannot blame these children and put a cross on their worksheet or say बिल्कुल सीखता नहीं है, हमेशा पूछता रहता है. तो ये सिखाने के लिए ये पेज नंबर 184 पे very beautifully it has been given that let's use the learning trajectory to define children's learning in the 4 learning stages.
Absolutely right, ma'am. And when it's very sorrowful when we see that the teacher in class 5 or 6 says a child's parent that your child is not doing good, he is below average. So the parents sometimes say the child is since beginning, since PG is in your school. Why doesn't he is doing well? मतलब आपके पास वो पूरा कागज आया था और आपने अभी तक क्या किया? So this is why because they're not getting the base. Why do schools complain to parents if the child is not learning? It's your job to teach the child.
The parent has put the child in your school because you are the school. You are the one who will be educating the child. And that's why, sir, I am also against this whole concept of interviewing children before giving them admissions. तो आप सिर्फ अच्छे बच्चों को लेंगे, आप सिर्फ स्मार्ट बच्चों को लोगे, that means आपको अपने स्कूल की कैपेसिटी और कैपेबिलिटी पे आपको विश्वास नहीं है कि अगर कोई बच्चा स्मार्ट नहीं होगा तो आप उसको स्मार्ट नहीं बना पाओगे. So this is also a mindset which needs to go, and it's clearly defined in the NCF.
Absolutely right, ma'am. Because this concept has to be removed. Thank you so much, ma'am. We'll come up to the next point now. Ma'am, we are talking about holistic progress card. So
Yes.
there's a lot of misconception between the administrators that is this a part of the marking report card or marking report card should be indulged with this, or it should be separate, or it should not be there. Only holistic report card should be there. Ma'am, please clear this concept.
First of all, India uses a concept called report cards. Now, a child is not an accident that it needs to be reported. So that is why the NCF talks about progress card. रिपोर्ट कार्ड यानी कि आप बच्चों की कमियां बताओगे. प्रोग्रेस कार्ड यानी कि आप बच्चों की जो अचीवमेंट्स है, जो सक्सेसेस है, वो बताएंगे. होलिस्टिक प्रोग्रेस कार्ड मींस you will do two things. Number one, developmentally is the child developing as per age. That should be your first card. Second is learning wise, is your child developing or learning what has to be learned in the class? That is your second aspect of the progress card. So first aspect is especially for early years, मैं सबको बोलूंगी कि Google पे एक document है called Development Matters. It is a UK government document जो birth से 60 months तक बच्चों को age wise listening, speaking, numbers, literacy, physical development, emotional development, social development, हर एज पे क्या डेवलप होना चाहिए, ये पूरा दिया हुआ है. So teachers must also do a developmental progress card कि अगर मेरा बच्चा 3.5 years का है तो is this child developing as per the age guidelines? That is very important. And number two, then comes learning progress card, which means आपने shapes सिखाए, आपने letters सिखाए, आपने numbers सिखाए. Is this child learning those in the class? How much has this child picked up? So presently our report cards only talk about the learning aspect. मेरे बच्चों को shapes आते हैं कि नहीं, addition करता है कि नहीं, subtraction करता है कि नहीं, etc. What the holistic progress card says, talk about the developmental growth of the child also. So once we focus on both, we will be able to interrelate it. That is it that the child is developmentally not up to his age, and that's why he's not able to learn what you are trying to teach in the class. That is the whole concept of the holistic progress card.
So, ma'am, is there any format of this holistic report card, or it can be made according to the school needs?
So page number 182 to 184, they have given you certain guidelines. But what I like about this NCF is that it doesn't bind you कि ऐसे ही करो. It gives you that freedom that this is the framework. अब इसमें आपको जो अपने लिए अच्छा लगे, अपने स्कूल के लिए वो करो. Simple guideline given is कि don't make it into a report card, make it into a progress card. Show the child's progress not only in learning but also in development.
Right. Thank you so much, ma'am. Next, we'd like to ask you, ma'am, that how do children learn choice, wonder, joy, and joy pedagogy?
So, one of the most important things in this NCF is it talks about how children learn. और यहाँ पे educators who like to read books, I would suggest two books for them. John Holt has written two books called How Children Learn and Why Children Fail. ये दोनों बुक्स को अगर आप पढ़ोगे तो आप समझ में आएगा कि NCF ने ये चॉइस, वंडर एंड जॉय क्यों डाला है. हम ना बच्चों को चॉइस नहीं देते हैं. We thrust things on children. हम चाहते हैं कि वो ऐसे ही बैठे, वो ऐसे ही सुने, वो ऐसे ही करे, वो यही करे. तो choice is a very important step or the foundation of thinking skills. I tell parents also that when you are dressing up the child in the morning, give some choice to the child. Because when you give choice to children, children have to think, मुझे ये चाहिए कि मुझे ये चाहिए. So that means the child is using their thinking skills, their analytical skills. They are making decisions on their own based on their choices. So you can do it with a simple thing. जब बच्चे स्कूल में आते हैं, you are greeting them, right? You are saying good morning, and then we force them. Good morning bolo, good morning bolo. Instead of that, why not give children a choice? How would you like to be greeted today? Would you like to have a high five? Would you like to have a handshake? Or would you like to say good morning? Give choice to children. When you start the day with choices, children start using their thinking brain. That is what choice stands for. Joy and wonder means boringness को class curriculums में से निकाल डालो. There should be a joy in learning. I should have a wonder. I must wonder where is this story leading to, or I must wonder ये science experiment कैसे होगा. When there is wonder, there is amazement. When there is amazement, there is interest, and when there is interest, there is attention, and attention leads to intelligence. So it's a very simple formula given in the NCF, page numbers 38 and 39. It says choice, wonder and joy. ये तीनों को कभी मत भूलो अपने लेसन प्लानिंग में, अपने क्लास में, अपने टॉय सिलेक्शन में, अपने क्लास के इंटीरियर्स में. Have some element like जैसे I've gone to a lot of schools, हमारी भी schools में दीवार में थोड़ी ऊंचाई पे हमने थोड़े ऐसे जरोखे जैसे बनाए हैं जहाँ पे बच्चे जाके बैठ सकते हैं. पुराने घरों में भी ये बहुत होते थे. This brings in an element of joy. This brings in an element of wonder. कि वहां मैं अगर बैठूंगी तो कैसा दिखेगा वहां से. So the whole idea of this NCF is come out of the boring practices, come out of things that you thought are good, look at it from the child's point of view. Child needs three things: choice, wonder and joy.
Wonderful, ma'am. Wonderful. Ma'am, next we'd like to know please explain the concept of differential learning activities.
This is a very new concept. Globally, it is almost 2 decades old. India में थोड़े schools अभी ये कर रहे हैं. Differentiated learning means you divide your class into either 3 or 4 categories. Because again, as I said, थोड़े बच्चे होंगे जो beginner पे होंगे, थोड़े बच्चे होंगे जो proficient में होंगे, थोड़े advanced पे होंगे. So आप जो वर्कशीट्स बनाते हो 4 बनाओ वर्कशीट्स. यानी कि जो बिगनर है उनके लिए थोड़े सिंपल वर्कशीट्स बनाइए और उनको थोड़ी ज्यादा adult help लगेगी. So your teacher or your assistant teacher is more with that group. Then the other group I have now understood to learn without an adult. So उनके लिए थोड़े higher worksheets, थोड़े complex worksheets. So the activity remains the same, but the complexity of that activity is different for different children. अभी आप चाहे तो 2 से शुरू कर सकते हो, यानी कि 1 very simple activity and 1 a slightly complex activity. Once you understand the concept, you can then divide your classroom into 3 categories or 4 categories. This will help the children who are just beginning to learn not feel overwhelmed. क्योंकि usually क्या होता है, क्लास में जो बच्चे बहुत अच्छा करते हैं, हम उनके हिसाब से सब कुछ प्लान करते हैं. लेकिन जो बच्चे अच्छा नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, अब तक वहां पर नहीं पहुंचे हैं, उनको वो कॉम्प्लेक्स लग रहा है, तो वो हमेशा फेल होते रहते हैं. So this whole idea of differentiated learning is that make your learning activities up to the age and the developmental level of the child. Now, please understand it's very difficult. ये जो कोशिश करेंगे स्कूल्स, इसको बहुत टाइम लगेगा, बट शुरुआत करना बहुत जरूरी है. पेज नंबर्स 87 पेज नंबर्स 117 एंड पेज 301, उसमें आइडियाज भी दिए हैं, सैंपल्स भी दिए हैं कि ये आप कैसे शुरू कर सकते हो अपने क्लास में. So wonderful samples have also been given. This, as I'm telling you, may take a little time because एक mindset change करना पड़ेगा टीचर्स को. पहले तो सुन के टीचर्स को लगेगा हाँ मेरा काम बढ़ जाएगा, तो ये लगेगा टीचर्स को. बट बाद में जब वो देखेंगे, because I have used differentiated learning, आपका काम थोड़ा बढ़ता है only at the planning stage. But then you will realize that all children are achieving. तो जो आपको बर्डन था कि उनके साथ बैठो, उनके सिखाओ वापस, वो निकल जाता है. बिकॉज नाउ दो चिल्ड्रन बिकम कॉन्फिडेंट क्योंकि आपने उनको उनके लेवल की एक्टिविटीज दी है. पेरेंट कन्विंसिंग में भी इसमें थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा. यू विल हैव टू एक्सप्लेन टू द पेरेंट्स दैट द एक्टिविटी इज द सेम, द कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी ऑफ द एक्टिविटी इज डिफरेंट टू सूट द लेवल ऑफ योर चाइल्ड.
That's wonderful, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now we will like to understand from you the concept of ELOS of numeracy.
फाउंडेशनल लिटरेसी एंड न्यूमरेसी को एक गोल बनाया है अब हमारे गवर्नमेंट ने, that by 2030 they want to ensure that all children at the primary stage are proficient in literacy and numeracy skills. इसके लिए एक दूसरा डॉक्यूमेंट भी निकाला है, उसका नाम है निपुण. So everybody should download the document Nipun. Nipun focuses on literacy and numeracy. अब हमारे कंट्री में क्या हो गया है, we have become a very phonics generation. हमको लगता है phonics अगर नहीं सिखाएंगे तो इंग्लिश नहीं सीख पाएंगे. आप और मैं जब स्कूल में इंग्लिश सीख रहे थे, हमको कोई phonics नहीं था, हमको whole language था. तो ये सब कुछ दिया गया है निपुण में. But what I like is numeracy पे पहली बार कुछ काम किया गया है. न्यूमरेसी को हमारे कंट्री ने हमेशा रोट लर्निंग से सिखाया है. आप देखेंगे कि आपके आजू बाजू के स्कूल्स बहुत बोस्ट करेंगे कि हमारे बच्चे, हमारे 4 साल के बच्चे भी 3000 तक काउंट कर सकते हैं. दे कंफ्यूज सेइंग नंबर्स टू नोइंग नंबर्स. सी, नंबर्स में 3 चीज होती है. एक होता है आप न्यूमरल को देखें नंबर 2 और बोले ये नंबर 2 है. फिर होता है मैं 2 बोल सकता हूं कि नहीं, 2, 3, 4, 5, am I able to say that? And the third and the most important is, do I know what 2 is? Will I be able to give you 2 objects? तो ये सारी स्कूल्स जो 3000 तक काउंटिंग कराते हैं, उनके क्लास के बच्चों को अगर आप बोलोगे कि गिव मी 62 crayons, तो वो 62 काउंट करके आपको चीज नहीं दे पाते हैं, because they don't know 1-to-1 correspondence. And that is why what the NCF says is use the ELPS concept while teaching numeracy. यानी कि start with concrete experience से शुरू करो. Let children touch objects. Manipulatives रखो क्लास में, counting के लिए objects वगैरह. Then comes the spoken language. अब आप उनको number rhymes से सिखा सकते हो. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once I caught a fish alive. 5, 6, 7. तो ये काउंटिंग राइम्स जब बच्चे सीखेंगे तो दे विल ऑल्सो लर्न द स्पोकन लैंग्वेज अबाउट नंबर्स. एंड पिक्चर्स से वो सीख पाएंगे कि नंबर 5 के बाजू में 5 ऑब्जेक्ट्स है. दैट मीन्स दीज 5 ऑब्जेक्ट्स का ये न्यूमेरिकल साइन है. एंड देन कम्स द रिटर्न सिंबल्स. हमारे स्कूल्स में उल्टा होता है. हम पहले राइटिंग सिखाते हैं बच्चों को कि ये नंबर 5 लिखो, नंबर 3 लिखो, नंबर 4 लिखो, बट उनको समझ में नहीं आता है कि what am I writing? What does this mean? So इसको करने के लिए पेज नंबर्स 117 to 122 बहुत बढ़िया दिया है. एंड एडिशनल more details are given in the Nipun document.
Right, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, next we like to understand the concept of Panch Kosha for a scholarship development.
I am so happy that Panch Kosh and many of these words from Indian culture have been integrated into the NCF. मैं जब न्यूजीलैंड गई थी, मैंने एक्चुअली 39 कंट्रीज के करिकुलम की स्टडी की है. एंड आई फाउंड दैट 3 कंट्रीज के करिकुलम अब तक मुझे बहुत अच्छे लगे हैं. वो है, 1 is UK, जिसके करिकुलम का नाम है EYFS, अर्ली इयर्स फाउंडेशन स्टेज। द सेकेंड इज ऑस्ट्रेलिया, उसके करिकुलम का नाम है EYLF, यानी कि अर्ली इयर्स लर्निंग फ्रेमवर्क। और थर्ड कंट्री जो मुझे अच्छी लगी थी वो है न्यूजीलैंड, उसके करिकुलम का नाम है तेवारीकी। और उन्होंने तेवारीकी नाम इसलिए रखा है क्योंकि दे आर वेरी रूटेड इनटू देयर कल्चर। तो तेवारीकी इज देयर एबोरिजिनल लैंग्वेज में जो वीविंग को नाम दिया है वो है तेवारीकी। तो इसलिए जब मैं ये शब्द सुनती हूँ हमारे NCF में, पंचकोश, पंचाड़ी एक्सेट्रा, तो अच्छा लगता है कि वी आर प्राउड ऑफ आवर कल्चरल रूट्स। एंड व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट होल ब्रेन लर्निंग और होल डेवलपमेंट, यार व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट मल्टीपल इंटेलिजेंसेस, काफी ऐसी चीजें आई हैं हमारे स्कूल्स में, तो हम ये भूल जाते हैं कि हमारे पास इंडियन ट्रेडिशन में पंचकोश था। पंचकोश, पंच यानी कि 5 और कोश यानी कि लर्निंग। सो पंचकोश मींस डेवलपमेंट। तो पहला जो फर्स्ट 2 आर अन्नमया कोश एंड प्राणमया कोश। अन्नमया कोश मींस फिजिकल डेवलपमेंट के 2 पार्ट्स है। अन्नमया मीन्स योर आउटर बॉडी एंड प्राणमया मीन्स योर इनर बॉडी। तो हम आउटर बॉडी का डेवलपमेंट तो करते हैं, एक्सरसाइजेस करते हैं, बैलेंसिंग करते हैं, PT करते हैं, बट इनर बॉडी जो आजकल योगा के माध्यम से फेमस हो गया है, ब्रीदिंग एक्सरसाइजेस, we are not giving enough breathing exercises to children. And why is breathing important? Breathing brings in oxygen into your body. Oxygen is one of the requirements of your brain. If your brain doesn't get enough oxygen, your brain loses focus and starts getting bored or starts getting drowsy. So the more children breathe, the more oxygen goes into their brain and the more focused and attentive they will become. ये बात स्कूल्स को समझनी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। इसीलिए प्राणमया कोश becomes very important that when you are going from one activity to the other, ब्रीदिंग एक्सरसाइजेस थोड़ी कराओ, यानी कि ऑक्सीजन रिजुविनेशन मिल जाएगा बच्चों को। हमारे पैंडेमिक में सबसे ज्यादा महत्व ऑक्सीजन को दिया गया था क्योंकि ब्रीदिंग को इफेक्ट किया था कोरोना ने। तो इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर स्कूल्स टू अंडरस्टैंड प्राणमया कोश एंड अन्नमया कोश, आउटर बॉडी एंड इनर बॉडी। और इनर बॉडी में दूसरी बात भी आती है, द गट एंड द ब्रेन। The gut is connected to the brain, which means what you eat is how your brain will think. So it is very very important कि जंक फूड से हमको बच्चों को दूर रखना है। हमारे कैंटीन में बहुत ज्यादा जंक फूड हम देते हैं बच्चों को। The second is called मनोमया कोश, सोशियो इमोशनल डेवलपमेंट एंड एथिकल डेवलपमेंट। ये एक बहुत बढ़िया चीज डाली है, एथिकल डेवलपमेंट। When we talk to children about following rules, इसको मारना ठीक नहीं है, ये सब ethics है। These are called behavioral ethics. So the Panchakosh talks about it as Manomaya Kosh. Then you have Vijnamaya Kosh, which means cognitive development. अब आप देखिए cognitive development number 3 पे है, यानी कि if my body is not healthy, if my mind or my emotions are not healthy, I will not be able to achieve any thinking or cognition or learning or intelligence. And this is exactly what Maslow's hierarchy of needs talks about. तो हम लोग मैस्लोस के बारे में जानते हैं, बट मैस्लोस से पहले, हजारों साल पहले हमारे इंडियन ट्रेडिशन में पंचकोश था। और लास्ट है आनंदमया कोश। आनंदमया कोश मींस एस्थेटिक एंड क्रिएटिव डेवलपमेंट। इफ आई हैव थिंकिंग स्किल्स, I will be able to appreciate art. I will be able to take part in literature. I will be able to do reading, poetry, etc. So beautifully it has been given कि अगर आपको बच्चों को इंटेलिजेंट बनाना है तो पहले कौन सी चीज पे आपको फोकस करना चाहिए।
Right. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, now we'd like to understand how can teachers support children to learn better and what should be the way of organizing content?
So organizing content के बारे में it talks in page number 135 onwards कि हम कहते हैं ना कि हम एक प्रोजेक्ट बेस्ड स्कूल है, तो उसमें आइडियाज दी गई है NCF में कि बच्चों की इंटरेस्ट जगाने के लिए, जो हम कहते हैं ना चॉइस, वंडर एंड जॉय, उसको जगाने के लिए आपका करिकुलम किस टाइप का होना चाहिए, तो उसके बारे में गाइडलाइंस दिए गए हैं। एंड द 4 approaches that they talk about are project approach, story based approach, थीम बेस्ड अप्रोच एंड एक्लेक्टिक अप्रोच। अभी प्रोजेक्ट अप्रोच तो सबको ही जानता है कि वी स्टार्ट विद अ प्रोजेक्ट, वी स्टार्ट विद एन एक्टिविटी, उसमें चाहे वो आप स्टीम लगा लो या स्टेम एक्टिविटीज लगा लो। स्टोरी बेस्ड अप्रोच के बारे में मैं बाद में बात करूंगी। एंड थीम बेस्ड अप्रोच फॉलो कर ही रहे हैं प्री प्राइमरी स्कूल्स के, हर महीने एक नया थीम होता है और उस थीम के बारे में सब कुछ कनेक्टेड होता है। एक्लेक्टिक यानी कि आपको ये सारे अप्रोचेस फॉलो करने आपके स्कूल में, you don't want to be any one approach, then that's called the eclectic approach. So this is a very good way for teachers to organize their content, and page number 135 onwards this has been given and explained beautifully.
That's good. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, kindly elaborate us the concept of toy and story pedagogy.
I am so happy the NCF talks about toy and story pedagogy. मैंने रिसर्च की है on all the states of India and their toys, and you will be surprised that every state of India has different material toys. Coir के toys है, shells के toys है, wooden toys है. There are toys that use force. There are toys that are musical. But sadly in our schools, especially in our elite schools, हम लोग प्लास्टिक ज्यादा यूज करते हैं. We think जो imported plastic toys होते हैं उस तो हम अच्छी schools लगेंगे, तो हम international schools लगेंगे. But एक बात हमें समझनी है कि at that age children are developing their finger muscles. उनके grip, उनका skill fingers में होता है. तो when I touch different materials, the use of my grip will be different. So if I am picking up a shell toy, I will need a smaller grip, a tighter grip. When I'm picking up a wooden toy, I will need a wider grip. And when I'm touching wood, when I'm touching shells, I'm getting sensation in my fingers. When I'm touching plastic, there is no particular sensation. It's all flat. So it is very, very important that when we talk about sensory development, तो टॉयज के थ्रू सेंसेशन डेवलप होता है, और इसीलिए NCF टॉक्स अबाउट टॉय पेडागोजी, दैट द मोर टॉयज यू इन्वॉल्व इन योर लर्निंग, आपका चॉइस, वंडर एंड जॉय वहीं पे आएगा. बट सैडली जैसे ही टीचर्स को आप कहोगे कि शेल्स के टॉयज ये सब रखो, तो उनका फर्स्ट रिएक्शन होगा मैम ये तो तोड़ डालेंगे. बट आई ऑलवेज आस्क टीचर्स कि ट्राइबल बच्चे भी यही सब चीजों से खेलते हैं, वो क्यों नहीं तोड़ते हैं? तो क्या वो ज्यादा इंटेलिजेंट है आपके अर्बन बच्चों से? तो उनको सिखाया जाता है, वो देखते हैं कि उनके अडल्ट्स उस चीज को कैसे हैंडल करते हैं. एंड दिस इज एग्जैक्टली व्हाट मॉन्टेसरी टॉट. मॉन्टेसरी हैज टॉट मॉडलिंग. मॉडलिंग मींस आप बच्चों के सामने उस चीज को पकड़ो ऐसी तरह और बोलो बच्चों को कि ये थोड़ा नाजुक है, वी हैव टू हैंडल इट वेरी नाइसली, एंड चिल्ड्रन विल लर्न. Children will learn to take care, and that's what we want. We want intrinsic learning to happen, not कि adult has to constantly supervise. हमको बस छोड़ देना है बच्चों को, इसलिए हमने उनको प्लास्टिक टॉयज दे दिए हैं कि कितना भी तोड़ेंगे टूटेगा नहीं, हमारे लिए भी अच्छा रहेगा. But we are taking away all their experiences, and that's why toy pedagogy. Story pedagogy comes from Gijubai Badeka. He is our Indian educational pioneer, and he taught through stories right up to primary. And he realized that stories have higher order thinking skills. Stories mein I will learn focus. When I'm listening to a story, I sit and listen. आपने देखा होगा बच्चों को अगर आप स्टोरी बोलोगे वो ध्यान से सुनेंगे. इतना अटेंशन वो और कोई एक्टिविटी में नहीं देते हैं जितना वो स्टोरी में देते हैं. Story develops working memory. I have to remember the different parts of the story for me to connect what happened in the story. Story develops empathy. I become one with the characters in the story. It develops emotional development. It develops thinking skills. So many things are developed through the story pedagogy, and that's why this NCF from page 83 and page 93 onwards talks about toy pedagogy and story pedagogy.
That's wonderful, ma'am. So many things. You have opened my eyes with so many things that it's really going to help all the schools. Ma'am, section 4.2 says Panchadi, the flow of lesson plan. What is this, ma'am?
हम जो लेसन प्लानिंग करते हैं हमारे स्कूल्स में, we do have introduction, then we have the main body, and then we usually most schools end it with a worksheet, कुछ writing activity दे देंगे. Panchadi is a very beautiful concept explained in the curriculum. It starts from page 86 onwards. Panchadi, again, Panch means 5 steps are there. The 5 steps are Aditi, Bodh, Abhyas, Prayog and Prasar. Aditi यानी introduction. Please always give an introduction before you are starting to teach children something. For example, if I'm teaching children about what rainwear, so I can come with a little wet in my class and say, Arey, I got wet today. It's raining outside and I got wet today. What should I have used? And your children will answer raincoat, somebody will say umbrella. So this becomes an introduction to my topic of rainwear. An introduction helps children's minds come to the same understanding. Everybody's mind is now on the same point of what they are going to be learning. So that's why introduction becomes a very important aspect of anything that you are trying to teach to children. The second is Bodh. Bodh means conceptual understanding. When I'm trying to give some understanding about rainwear to children, I must go from known to unknown, simple to complex, and concrete to abstract. ये 3 चीज मुझे conceptual understanding में ध्यान रखनी बहुत important है. Known to unknown means if I am talking to a certain group of children who I know only wear raincoats and they see their adults carrying an umbrella, so I should talk to them from that concept. I cannot show them a baby umbrella. They will not be able to relate to it क्योंकि वो तो खुद raincoat पहनते हैं. Simple to complex means I must first teach them the words in their mother tongue. And chhatri, they will be more open to the word chhatri than to the word umbrella. So known to simple to complex, concrete to abstract. I must try to use as much of real objects and not only show things through pictures. So conceptual understanding यानी कि बोध के लिए ये जानना बहुत जरूरी है. Then comes abhyas. Abhyas means now practice. Now I have taught these children this. Now let me give them some practice to help them understand the concept further. So maybe I can put all the umbrellas and raincoats together and I can ask them, can you now make groups? Can you put all the umbrellas on one side, put all the raincoats on one side? Stuff like that. I can make them do things with their hands. I can give them pictures now. A picture sorting activity दे सकती हूँ मैं. Yeah, I can give them drawing activities. Next comes prayog. Prayog यानी कि application. Now they have learnt it, they have understood it. Now I want to know whether they will be able to apply it. I can give a worksheet here. I can make them join all the red umbrellas or circle all the items that you will be using if it is raining, etc. So now they are applying their knowledge. And the last, which I love the most, is called prasar. Prasar means when you are able to talk about your learning. So are these children able to go home and tell their mothers and their families about what they have learned? So just show and tell का concept होता है ना schools में, that is part of expansion, prasar. When I am able to talk about something, I can tell children as part of prasar to bring their favorite umbrella or their favorite raincoat and tell us why it is their favorite. So expansion. So ये 5 steps दिए गए हैं पंचाड़ी के, page 86 onwards, beautifully with examples given, which teachers should now inculcate into their planning.
That means, when till now I've understood that children are just learning. They're not understanding the things. They have to understand and there'll be no need of learning. This is the main concept. They have
to understand the steps of learning. बस मैंने कुछ सिखाया और वर्कशीट दे दिया, that's not it. I must understand कि मुझे कहाँ पे बोध करना है, यानी कि conceptual understanding, deeper understanding में जाना है, कहाँ पे मुझे प्रयोग यूज करना है, कहाँ पे मुझे प्रसार यूज करना है. I cannot as the beginning of a lesson on rainwear do show and tell कि अपने umbrella लेके आओ और उसके बारे में बात करो. That will have to come at the end after they have understood the concept.
Absolutely right, ma'am. They will come into that particular mindset that this is what we are going to talk about.
Absolutely.
Right. Ma'am, please let us know about the concept of vikas.
विकास इज वेरी सिमिलर टू पंचकोश. हम कहते हैं ना, विकास मीन्स डेवलपमेंट. आपका अल्टीमेट गोल क्या है एज अ स्कूल? इट इज द विकास ऑफ योर चिल्ड्रन, विकास ऑफ आवर कंट्री. That is what Vikas is a very important word for our country, because we are a developing country, though we are a very fast developing country. But हर स्कूल का गोल होता है बच्चों का विकास. तो किस चीज में बच्चों का विकास? अल्टीमेटली आपको जो होलिस्टिक प्रोग्रेस कार्ड है उसमें आप कौन सा विकास दिखाएंगे? तो ये 5 विकास है: शारीरिक विकास, प्राणिक विकास, मानसिक विकास, बौद्धिक विकास और चैतसिक विकास. शारीरिक विकास is physical development. It talks about nutrition, hygiene, personal health. तो ये सारी चीजें, इसमें क्या बच्चों ने विकास किया आपके क्लास में? Second is प्राणिक विकास, development of life energy, which means digestive system, respiratory system, nervous system, यानी कि आपके जो है. तो did you see or did your activities contribute to the child? जैसे मैंने कहा, स्नैक मेन्यू रखना बहुत जरूरी है. हमारे बर्थडे देखो, स्कूल में कितने चॉकलेट्स और स्वीट्स खाते हैं बच्चे, और उस एज में सॉल्ट और शुगर इज वेरी हार्मफुल फॉर द ग्रोइंग ब्रेन. सो इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि ये जो चीजें हम कभी समझते नहीं थे कि स्कूल की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है डाइजेस्टिव, हम ये कभी नहीं समझते थे, लेकिन यहाँ दिया है प्राणिक विकास. It is the school's duty, because research has now proven that there is a connection between the gut and the brain. So it is very, very important. Third is मानसिक विकास, which is emotional development, your mental development. Are we contributing to children's emotional development, or we are asking कि family को ये सब कुछ देखना चाहिए, हमें तो सिर्फ पढ़ाई करानी चाहिए? Next is बौद्धिक विकास, which is your intellectual development, and the last is चैतसिक विकास, which is spiritual development. It is in your spiritual development that you learn things like national integration. It is in your spiritual development that you learn things like patriotism. So, when you are making your holistic progress card, are you talking about these 5 विकास, और सिर्फ आप बौद्धिक विकास के बारे में बात कर रहे हो? ये भी प्रश्न स्कूल्स को अभी अपने आप को पूछना चाहिए, और ये पेजेस 19 और 20 पे दिया गया है.
Right, ma'am. Last but not the least, I'll be asking you, ma'am, what is this zooming and leveraging technology?
हमने 2 साल बिताए पैंडेमिक में, where school was online. अब हम ऑफलाइन हो गए हैं. Should we forget technology? Because अगर हमने एक पैंडेमिक देखा है तो जायज है कि और भी आएंगे, क्योंकि it is become now a world which is uncertain. So should we forget technology now? And that is the best part about this NCF. It says leverage technology. Technology को भूलो मत, टेक्नोलॉजी को यूज करो, टेक्नोलॉजी को ऐसा पार्ट बनाओ लाइफ का that children find a balance between both technology and non-technology. आज देखिए ना आप, चैट जीपीटी की कितनी बातें हो रही है कि ये होना चाहिए कि नहीं होना चाहिए. IB बोर्ड ने तो उसको एक्सेप्ट कर लिया है कि children can use it during exams also. We have to go with the times. And that's what I liked about this NCF, that this NCF is not shying away from technology. उन्होंने बहुत अच्छी वेबसाइट्स की हैं. Especially what I have to mention is Diksha. Diksha एक टीचर ट्रेनिंग प्लेटफॉर्म बनाया है गवर्नमेंट ने. I would urge all private schools so to enroll their teachers on Diksha. Diksha becomes ongoing learning throughout the year, and Diksha gives certificates also to the teachers. तो बहुत ही अच्छे क्विज होते हैं, बहुत ही बढ़िया प्लेटफॉर्म है. लेसन्स होते हैं पावर पॉइंट में, वीडियोस में, और फिर उसका एक सर्टिफिकेट होता है. तो इट विल मेक योर टीचर अ कांस्टेंट लर्नर. और ऐसी बहुत सारी वेबसाइट्स है, लाइक विद्यादान है. फिर पेरेंटल एंगेजमेंट के लिए भी एक वेबसाइट बनाई है गवर्नमेंट ने. सो लेवरेजिंग टेक्नोलॉजी मीन्स आपके स्कूल में भी आप टेक्नोलॉजी को अभी यूज कीजिए. जैसे हम ओपन हाउस रखते हैं, और काफी पेरेंट्स आ नहीं पाते हैं ओपन हाउस में क्योंकि दे आर ट्रैवलिंग और दे आर वर्किंग. Why not have Zoom open houses where you are able to give enough time to each parent? So this is what the NCF talks about. They learn to leverage technology, don't forget it. And it's given from page 154 onwards.
Right, ma'am. Ma'am, last but not the least, I'd like to ask you, because the teachers will say that it's very good to discuss all these things and to send across and talk about all these things. इतना सारा कुछ हम करेंगे कैसे? How should we start up, and how, with a cool mind, how can we go through this, or we can adopt this? What are your suggestions to these teachers?
If teachers, because I'm a teacher, and I always feel people talk about us being the most noble profession, but we are not respected. आप सर्जन को ज्यादा रिस्पेक्ट दोगे, आप काफी ऐसे इंजीनियर को ज्यादा रिस्पेक्ट दोगे. क्यों मालूम है? बिकॉज उनकी जो पढ़ाई होती है, उनका जो एप्लीकेशन होता है, वो इस तरह का ही होता है, वो सिंपल नहीं होता है. तो टीचर्स नाउ हैव टू गेट आउट ऑफ दिस माइंडसेट कि हमारा काम है सब सिर्फ स्कूल जाना, सिखाना और घर आना. नहीं. This NCF is celebrating education. This NCF is our opportunity now to show the world that what being a teacher means. Being a teacher means changing with the times. Being a teacher means the ability to adapt. Being a teacher means being resilient and creating citizens who are resilient. And that is why I don't think teachers should shy away or look at this as a burden. It's actually simplifying your work. आप ये सब कुछ कर रहे थे, अब उसको एक प्रोसेस में करना है आपको, आप उसको एक सिस्टम में करना है. That's it. So I don't think we should crib about it or complain about it. I think we should rejoice.
You're absolutely right, ma'am. And just now you were talking about technology. I just remember an incident. Around 2-3 months back, I went to DU. One of the colleges invited me for a workshop. One of the students said that, sir, I got 99 point something percentile in my competitive exam. All the doors of Indian colleges were open for me, but I wanted to go into Germany. But my admission was refused because I was not having the knowledge of AI. Now, AI starts from 11th and 12th. Computer science starts from class 11th and 12th usually. Now the schools, elite schools, they have started up from grade 1 or onwards. But the thing is that if you do not cope up, you do not run to, you do not teach, or you do not learn, according to the world, you won't be able to exist. That is with the teachers. The teachers, they are teaching in the same way they had been taught 20, 30 or 40 years back. We have to change ourselves according to the scenario, according to the world. This is what has to be understood by the teachers. They did this during the pandemic. There were many teachers who were not ready to accept. But
absolutely,
but they have made their YouTube channels now after this, coming to this. They have been putting up their videos of their subjects and all. So this, if you not change yourself, you'll not be able to exist. As we say, AI based, we say AI is going to be a huge part of the corporate world after some time.
Absolutely.
So that is why you have to make the best. If you are teaching at the pre-primary level or that 5+3 level, 5 level, then you have to teach them for next 20 years what they're going to come into the industry. So this is, you have to teach for the future, not future ahead about that. This is what has to be understood by the teachers. They have to change themselves, otherwise they will not be able to be here in this noble profession.
Absolutely. I fully agree with you, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am. You have enlightened us with the NCF, a lot of concepts that we cleared. And of course, I'll request all the principals and the people who will be seeing this to pass on to your teachers. They should understand and they should implement all these things. I'll also be sharing the PDF of what ma'am already sent, the points she has created from A to Z and other things she has created, so that they should reach all over Pan India to all the schools. And this NCF should be implemented 100%. Because people like Swati ma'am, they have done a lot of research, a lot of work and pain they have taken. Everywhere they are reaching, she's reaching over there, that the NCF should be implemented in a very, very efficient and effective way. Thank you so much once again, ma'am. We are humbled with your humbleness and that you have given us time and come over here and guided us for a film. Hope to see you again in another session, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you very much.
Pleasure is mine, ma'am. Thank you so much. Bye, ma'am.